Today, I'm going to bring you the latest suspense horror movie. The film is adapted from the famous horror novel Collapse. The director used fragmented narrative methods to portray the process of exploring the truth of the matter very well. You can't even guess the ending without seeing the end. Without further ado, the story begins. On a rainy night, a woman was driving on a country road. Suddenly, she saw a strange car parked on the side of the road. As she passed by, she looked into the car. She found a woman staring blankly at what seemed to be thinking in front of her. As the rain was getting heavier, she did not choose to get out of the car to check. Unexpectedly, this action made her life a mess. The next morning, her husband, Ma Xiao, told Lao La there was a female driver who died in the car near the house. At this time, Lao La's brain was rapidly running. Isn't this the small road she crossed yesterday? So she didn't answer Ma Xiao, but turned to the bathroom. She began to investigate this news. On the one hand, she wanted to find out if she had passed by the crime scene last night. On the other hand, she didn't want Ma Xiao to know that she chose to cross the country road to get home quickly, because just a while ago, Lao La's mother had just passed away. In order to inherit her mother's treasure, they chose to move to the castle in the township. Soon, Lala became a high school teacher in a local school. She held a welcome ceremony for Lao La last night. After dinner, she received a call from Ma Xiao. On the phone, she promised Ma Xiao that she would not take that remote country road. But because there was a big car following her, she kept pressing the horn. She still turned to that small road. So she happened to run into the crime scene. Lala confirmed that the crime scene in the news was where she passed by. The news reported that the victim's information was still being investigated. Because she just passed by and it was raining so hard that she didn't see anything. So she didn't choose to call the police but to go out and meet her best friend. But at this moment, she can't imagine that this has something to do with her. Her memories seem to have begun to be confused. After walking home, she felt something was wrong. After she went upstairs, she saw a man with a green hat outside the window staring at her. She called her husband Ma Xiao. But when Ma Xiao came over, the man disappeared. She tried to explain to Ma Xiao that someone was really looking at her in that position, and Ma Xiao's behavior towards his wife has been unbearable. It turned out that after Lao La's mother died, Lao La's spirit was not normal. One day, Lao La and Ma Xiao came to a friend's birthday party unexpectedly. A friend mentioned the woman who was killed in the Black Water Alley. That person is his colleague. And this colleague, Lao La, also met him at the welcome party 2 days ago. At that time, the two of them exchanged mobile phones with each other. The woman also asked Lao La to go to her house as a guest. Lala felt a little remorse and self-blame. After going home at night, Lala was thinking about what happened recently in bed. It's only been a month since she moved in, and so many things have happened that she can't accept. Ma Xiao, who was on the phone, suddenly saw the photo released by the police. Sure enough, it was the sister he knew. Lala, who couldn't believe it, asked Ma Xiao why the murderer chose the sister. Ma Xiao said the murderer might be a random case. Lala suddenly remembered the man in the green hat who appeared at the door a few days ago. She was a little afraid that she might become the next target of the murderer. She told Ma Xiao's family that she might need to install a surveillance camera. Ma Xiao was thinking about his wife's safety. He said he would install a surveillance camera after a while. He said he would lock the door and window downstairs as soon as he got up. Just before Ma Xiao left, the phone suddenly rang. Who would be calling so late? But when Lala picked it up, there was no sound on the other side. All I heard was the sound of electricity. After Ma Xiao came back, he comforted Lala that maybe she just made a wrong call. But the next day, the same call came again. There was still no sound on the other side of the phone. At this time, Ma Xiao went out to work and only Lala was at home. Suddenly, a voice came from behind. She went up to check, but found nothing. She thought it was her own illness. Just then, the doorbell outside the house rang. Behind the door was a strange man. The other party said he was here to install surveillance. Lala asked the man. He didn't ask him to install it. Today, the man explained to Lala that he had just finished The Last Generation. And it happened to be near Lala's castle. So he came to see the general situation of the house. After he walked into the house and checked it, he said some strange words. For safety reasons, Lala quickly found an excuse. Let him install it when his husband was at home. Thinking back to what just happened, Lala decided to drive back to the crime scene. Fortunately, she found something that scared her to death. Lala, who was squatting on the ground, picked up an earring in the ground, and this earring was the one she lost a few days ago. She felt cold in her back. She didn't get out of the car that day. Why did the earring appear here? Didn't she remember that she had been to the crime scene before? Lala looked around and only found a fox. There was a scream of a saint next to her. She quickly drove away from here at night. She wanted to take a bath to relax her nervous mood. She buried her head in the water. But suddenly there was a force that pressed her tightly into the water. She was scared to death and called her husband. Her head was almost drowned in the bathtub. Her husband immediately called the police. Lala suddenly thought that it might be a mental problem. So she stopped the horse. But before long, the police rang the doorbell of her house. Lala was surprised to ask the female police that her husband didn't call them. Then she could only explain what had just happened. But the female police said that she came to inquire about the murder of Yuan Jian because someone saw her passing by on the night of the crime. But the police didn't choose to call the police. Lala had no choice but to invite the police to her house to explain that she did know Jian, but it was raining that night. She didn't see Jian clearly, and she didn't get out of the car. She didn't choose to call the police. Lala simply said a few words and the police left. At this time, Ma Xiao only learned that Lala was driving home in the evening. Unexpectedly, she began to blame Lala for not listening to her instructions. After the two quarreled, Ma Xiao decided to install the surveillance camera first this week, because she was going on a business trip abroad next week. This time, Lala asked Ma Xiao why she was going on a business trip suddenly this week. Ma Xiao said that she told you 3 weeks ago. But Lala said that she had never received any message from Ma Xiao saying that she was going on a business trip. This time, Lala didn't know if it was a mental problem. The day before Ma Xiao left, Lala contacted her best friend Jingjie one day. She wanted her to move in with her for a while, but Jingjie said that she had other arrangements and couldn't come with Lala. Although Lala was very upset, she had no choice but to spend the time alone with Ma Xiao. After hanging up the phone, a strange sound came from behind. Lala dared to look up. She was scared by the plastic cloth in front of her. She was also tangled up by the plastic cloth. This time, Lala had collapsed. But when she came back to the room, the phone rang again. After Layla picked up, there was still no sound on the phone. Seeing this, I don't know if you noticed that every time you called, her husband Ma Xiao was not around. Lala, who was crying to sleep, woke up again and heard her mother calling her. She walked out of the room with the sound. When she ran into the mirror, she was scared by something that suddenly rushed out of the mirror. Lala, who hid in the room, could only hear the sound of broken glass outside and the constant turning of the door handle. She quickly called the police, but when the police arrived, they found no trace of glass in the room. The police here also began to doubt whether there was something wrong with Lala's spirit. Lala, who was frightened, decided not to return to the castle for the time being. After Ma Xiao came back, she moved in by herself. A week later, Ma Xiao, who was on a business trip, came back. She asked Lala why she was not at home when the person who installed the surveillance camera came to the door today. Lala said that she did not make an appointment today. Why did she make a mistake when installing the surveillance camera? Last time she did not ask for permission. And Ma Xiao said that you made an appointment with them. Do you still have your signature on the contract? Lala did not refute, but she remembered that she did not make an appointment today. So she secretly got up in the middle of the night and took out the copy of the contract. Is there really your signature on it? Is it really your old illness again? One day, Lala bought express delivery and called Ma Xiu. It was a baby pushcart. Ma Xiao asked Lala in surprise, is what your colleague said true? Lala did not have time to figure it out. Ma Xiao said that your colleague told me before that you mentioned you were pregnant. With her. I did not believe it at that time. I did not expect it to be a surprise to me. And Lala said that she was not pregnant and did not mention her pregnancy to her colleague. But soon she realized that she might be sick again. At this time, Ma Xiao began to worry. Combined with the surveillance, she decided to take Lala to see the doctor together. The doctor said that Lala might have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease like her mother. In addition, she could not stand the blow of her mother's death to aggravate the disease. The doctor prescribed some controlled drugs to Lala. This time, Lala still did not accept that there was a problem with her spirit. But what happened next broke her mind. That night, when she was watching TV, a shadow of her mother suddenly appeared. The sound of her mother calling her was also heard around her. She was afraid and ran and called her husband's name. Then she saw a knife stained with blood on the table. Ma Xiao heard the sound and rushed to comfort Lala, but the knife on the table disappeared magically. At this time, Lala completely collapsed. The next day, she was woken up by the ringing of her cell phone. She heard the sound of crying. When she came out to the lawn, she saw the fox again. She was brave and opened the towel wrapped around her. There was a dead crow inside. Maybe she had hallucinations. She recalled what had happened recently and finally began to accept the fact that she was sick. In the end, she took the medicine prescribed by the doctor and then fell asleep. When she woke up again, she appeared in the hospital. Ma Xiu told her that she had taken a lot of medicine. But Lala clearly remembered that she only took 2 tablets. When she woke up again at night, she had returned to the sofa in the house. At this time, the lights in the house began to dim. Did you see that? What? The lights, they were flickering and buzzing like crazy. Yeah. No, I didn't see anything. The female police came to visit this time because she suddenly received a report that Lala had returned to the crime scene. This means that when she returned to the scene, someone had seen Lala nearby. Lala explained to the female police that she had indeed been there and picked up an earring and told the female police to take it out so that she could answer sincerely without hiding it. The female police did not continue to investigate. When she left, the female police accidentally mentioned the castle. Recently, her good friend Jingjie has always been mentioned by people around her. And she found that Jingjie's last name is the same as the last name of the castle owner. Is this a coincidence? Lala said that the castle was left to her by her parents. But the owner of this castle was indeed Jingjie. At that time, Jingjie's family was bought by Lala's parents. The female police found it very interesting. From the perspective of the third party, wouldn't Jingjie be jealous of Lala? Lala said she had a good relationship with Jingjie and Jingjie was very willing to buy their house herself. It's hard to say if Ma Xiu asked if Lala's condition had improved at night. Did she read the letter? Lala said she hadn't had time to read it yet. But Ma Xiu didn't open it after Lala's permission. Lala was very angry. She turned around and opened the letter in the hall. The letter invites Lala to go back to re-examine and test again. Lala didn't say much, but she vaguely felt that Ma Xiao seemed to want her to be diagnosed with a mental illness. At this time, she began to suspect her editor. The next day, she decided to verify whether her memory really had a problem. So she called the seller who installed the surveillance camera and asked them for an electronic version of the surveillance contract. After comparing the contract, it was indeed her signature. So she temporarily let go of her suspicion of Ma Xiao. But who knew she was going home at night and suddenly there was a car following her. The car kept pressing the horn on Lala and tried to squeeze Lala aside. Lala didn't know who was in the car, but the car must have come for her. Soon after Lala was hit, she stopped on the side of the road. When she got home, she quickly called the police and told the police that she seemed to be targeted. Although there was no surveillance, the scratches on the car were evidence. Ma Xiao suddenly apologized when she was about to provide the appearance of the car. She said that there was something wrong with her wife's spirit because these scratches were left by Ma Xiao last week. At that time, Lala was also in the car, but Lala didn't remember. At this time, Lala finally realized that something was wrong. Ma Xiao seemed to be guiding her to prove that there was a problem the next day. Lala received a call from the insurance company to her. The electronic version of the contract was signed by Ma Xiao herself. That is to say, Ma Xiao signed two contracts in advance. The first one was signed by imitating Lala and the second one was signed by her own name, and when she signed the contract, Lala was out of town. Ma Xiao's purpose was to make Lala sure that her memory was confused. At this time, Lala suddenly thought of who the female police said. She immediately asked Jingjie out and wanted to find a breakthrough from Jingjie. She told Jingjie that Ma Zai has always been very cold to her recently. Is there an affair? After hearing this, Jingjie said that the sixth sense of a woman is very accurate. If you need it, I can recommend a good private detective to you. Then Lala asked Jingjie, have you ever had this experience? But Jingjie couldn't answer this question directly. She found an excuse to go to the bathroom by herself. At this time, Jingjie's cell phone suddenly rang. Although it is immoral to peek at the cell phone, Lala still took out the cell phone. She took it out and saw that it was an old cell phone. At this time, few people would use such an old cell phone. Is there any secret to hide? She didn't have time to look at her cell phone. At this time, Jingjie walked out of the bathroom. She answered a call and was in a hurry to leave. After going back, Lala checked her cell phone. Surprisingly, it was full of Jingjie and Ma Xiao's chat records. Lala found out all the facts. It turned out that Jingjie didn't want to answer that Ma Xiao was the one back to. The day before the incident, Jingjie and Ma Xiao were found out by a colleague in the office. In order not to let the matter be exposed, Jingjie chose to in the rainy day and used a dagger to solve the scissors directly. At this time, Lala, who happened to pass by, found out. So Jingjie framed Lala directly. In order to find the dagger, Lala turned the house upside down. In the end, she found the dagger with blood on it. It was the one she saw on the table a few days ago. Unable to accept the fact, Lala chose to take a large amount of medicine and committed suicide with the dagger. Just before this, the student she had an appointment with came to her to discuss the paper. She rang the doorbell, but no one opened the door. Lala was sent to the hospital. Mr. Anderson, I'm sorry to inform you there's been an incident. What's going on? Where's my wife? I came to get a paper for my class, but I said something was really wrong, so I went and looked for her. What are you saying? She was just laid. There's blood everywhere. Where's she? She didn't make it. Ma Xiao and Lala on the other side returned to the treasure. They had to find the phone and destroy the evidence because Lala had already known what had happened. The two people walked into the corridor and suddenly the lights behind them began to flicker. They had no choice but to rush to the plastic cloth. They actually saw Lala, who should be in the hospital. Just when Jing was about to catch up, a strange man rushed out and fought with Ma Xiao. Just when Ma Xiao was about to suffocate, Jing used a hammer to knock out the strange man. Then the two of them chased after him. Jing soon found Lala. The two of them fell to the ground and fought. Ma Xiao, who came in time, knocked Lala out with a stick. After returning to the room, Lala found herself tied to a chair. Now Jing has finally told the truth. It turns out that Jing was jealous of Lala for buying her own treasure. Since then, he has been planning to take revenge. He and Ma Xiao are old acquaintances. They knew each other. Jing and Ma Xiao planned to marry Lala and let Lala be diagnosed with mental illness after marriage. In this way, Ma Xiao could successfully inherit the treasure. But Maitsun Xin became the only agent of the matter. After killing Jing, could only frame Lala, who had mental illness. Mayor Huan was Jing's secret enemy. That's enough. Back away. After that, Lala, who was smart, accidentally found a camera set up by two people, so she played the role of suicide to save herself. The purpose was to let Jing tell the truth, and the strange man and the female police appeared were communicated by Lala in advance. The story ends here. It's a very exciting suspense work. If you are interested, you can search the original film. I'm Lao Li, this is my 6th commentary. If you like this video, remember to like, subscribe, and forward. See you next time.